So hey guys, it's Zyant again, and I've got another commentary still pertaining to my gaming history. But before I get into that, I wanted to thank everyone who subscribed recently. I'm at 100, and that's something of a milestone, so I wanted to thank you guys again for just being around. Now, let's get right into it. At the end of the last episode, I talked about how Bad Company 2 absorbed a lot of the time I spent gaming after Team Fortress 2, and that's true. But the problem is, Team Fortress 2 is all hipfire. There is no aim down sight. The weapons are hit scan, which means the bullet travels from the weapon to the target instantaneously. There's a whole lot of different ways of playing. You have the spy, where you get behind the enemy and you stab them really quick. You have the pyro, where you're just spraying flame everywhere from close range. There's the soldier, where you can splash damage them, the demo man. So the gun mechanics in Battlefield are buzzword realistic in that they travel in space rather than going from one area to the next instantly. So my aim was poor as it was in Team Fortress 2, and it was even worse in Bad Company 2. I spent a long time trying to get my aim down. And I did that by being a Wookiee for the first, like I say, 3 months of the game cycle. I mean, I would get on Valparaiso and I would stand, halfway from the first MCOM. If the team pushed up and got to the lighthouse, the lighthouse was the best place ever. I thought that was a great idea. action-y-est, yeah, go Team Sniper. I was one of the guys you probably hate. I didn't think anything of it, because I didn't have any history in the series. I didn't know what was kosher, what was not. I didn't know any of the good things, the bad things. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was something so radically different from Killzone, Team Fortress, Final Fantasy. It was almost a more visceral shooter for me. And eventually I got tired of that style of play, because you can't sit in one place for 1,000 hours, or 500 in my case. Or at least I can't. I'm not that patient. Eventually I slapped on the assault kit, I slapped on the engineer kit. And it was a completely different style of play. And my aim was once again poor, but because I had spent a little bit of time in game just making sure those long marksman headshots were there, I was a little more precise with the mouse, so aiming was a little better. I started to learn hipfire spreads and distances. I learned which kits were the best, which kits were cheesy, which kits weren't. I never used the Gustav explosive unless I had to clear an MCOM, for example. I would never use Gustavs as a primary. It eventually got to the point where I could do fairly well on my own. I unlocked smoke for the assault kit. It was going wonderfully, and that's how I play it, and I've unlocked everything for every kit at this point. But again, my KD was under 1, and I worked tirelessly to improve myself. I watched the D-Crew guys exclusively for a while. I branched out to eventually what became Quantic. And I went back and forth, and I kept trying to improve my aim. I would go into Squad Deathmatch, which is incidentally where I started at the very beginning of Bad Company 2, and why my KD was so bad. Eventually, I would go to action-y-est 100 ticket servers and just, kill things, just so I could learn the weapon that I wanted to use. And it got to a point where I was comfortable with myself. But at that point, I was done with Bad Company 2. At that point, the game was no longer the great experience that it was. I had platinumed all the weapons that I wanted to, and there was nothing left for me to do except learn how to snipe, essentially. Learn how to be an aggressive recon. People complain about the fact that Sergeant Enigma sort of created this climate of snipers and quickscopers that the people didn't like. I learned how to reload cancel from Jay Kaiser. I learned how to cancel the bolt cycle on the SV98, and I watched all these people do this, but by that point I was, again, like I said, I was done with the game. But Battlefield 3 was still months away, so I needed something to do. And so, unfortunately for a lot of you guys, I'm sure, I looked to the consoles, and more specifically Call of Duty. But Black Ops wasn't out yet either. I had no experience on the console since Killzone 2, and that was, that had been years. So eventually it got to the point where I bought Halo Reach. I bought an Xbox, and I bought Halo Reach, and I started playing to prepare myself for Black Ops. And I played it and played it and played it. I got to, I don't know what I unlocked in Halo Reach. But then Black Ops came out, and I played that. And once again, I was back at the bottom of the barrel. I sucked. I was a camper. I was a ghost guy. Hamas, dual mag, warlord. It was all everything you hate about Black Ops. I did. But that's the next commentary. Hope to see you guys there.